Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. And Nigerians embark on an indefinite strike action as the country's Labour Congress and Labour's Union wants an increase in the minimum wage considering the hyperinflation reigning in Nigeria and a reduction in the electricity tariff. These are some of the major stories. Good evening to you all. This is High Prime of Monday, the 3rd of June 2024. For presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Sabot. We begin this newscast with a story from Kumba. Shockwave have been sent to examiners and superintendents all over the northwest and southwest region following the car belonging to one of the superintendents over there in St. Francis College, Fiango Kumba, whose vehicle went on flame on campus few minutes after he alighted from the said vehicle to go carry on with the invigilation process of the GCE and baccalaureate examination over there at the St. Francis College in Fiango Kumba. Aisha Ben completes her story from Kumba.
An experienced examination invigilator at St. Francis College in Fiango Kumba, Mr. Ekwede, on Thursday, May 30, 2024, has been disaster-struck shortly after stepping out from the car in the morning.
I have went for an invigilation since I'm superintendent. So I came here exactly 7 o'clock, and then while getting out of the car, I noticed that there is smoke coming out. So in the course of checking, that's when I saw fire. So I alerted the population that was around. So they came now to see what we can do to put the fire down.
According to reports, a thick smoke billowing was coming off his parked vehicle, which rapidly erupted into violent flames, which him and other bystanders rushed to extinguish it, as he explains.
That it takes time. So we're trying to put sand there. Then the fire too was only getting up. So, we could not do anything.
For witnesses, there was a sense of panic as everyone feared the classrooms could be in danger when the entire car was engulfed with fire, threatening to spread to the nearby school buildings. Fortunately for the school, there was a quick-thinking intervention from the Kumba Fire Brigade, who worked hard to contain the blaze and preventing it from causing any further damage. The invigilator, after the fire was extinguished, lamented on the loss of important documents stored inside the vehicle, which he forgot to remove.
Documents of the car were inside. So if I knew, I would have struggled to move the documents. But I thought that I have confidence that with the population that is here, we shall be able to put down the fire. Until the time when we started hearing people, so the thing now was more than us. So everybody now left. Myself, you have to leave.
It should be noted that the cause of the fire is still unknown and under investigation. Meanwhile, the authorities are relieved for no recorded injured person, while Mr. Ekwede remains with a traumatic experience.
From the town of Kumba, we move on to the other town in the southwest region, Buea, where the Buea chapter of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists now have a new president after the tenure of office of former president Isidore Abba came to an end. This time around, they settled with the journalists practicing with the Post newspaper, Andrew Soseka Akramo, who was elected over the weekend to pilot the affairs of the Kamasech chapter of Buea. More with you, Ngoni Sonita.
By the results, it is clear that the candidate Andrew Soseka has emerged as the winner, which means he is the new president.
With the aim of changing the narratives and making Kamasech Buea great again, this chapter now has a new executive, with Andrew Esoke winning the elections over Mbako Jode as president. The election that was carried out under the watchful eyes of a representative from the National Bureau was held hinge-free. Newly elected President Andrew won Mbako Jode with 18 votes to emerge as president.
I'm very grateful. I like the confidence, and on behalf of my team, I pledge that we are going to serve you. We did not come here to pick any crown or whatever. We came here to serve, and we are going to serve Kamasech to the best of our ability, and promised to make it very inclusive. I'd like to thank Mbaku for making this process very democratic. It's very, very important for the health of our organization, of our association. So I think we are going to work together. We are going to make sure that Kamasesh Boya is made to be very, very, it's made in such a way that others will envy us.
This newly executive put in place by the chapter, a lot is expected from them.
Andrew's Kamasesh is our Kamasesh, is our chapter. So we have to rally behind you to make sure that we work as one man. Looking at your team here, please, I want to tell you that you've been given an office. And that office, you don't abandon it to Andrew alone. President is your issue. President, no. When Andrew calls you for a meeting and you maybe bring your heads together, let us build a better conversation.
Just like every other chapter, Kamasesh Boya is a model chapter and showcasing the works of journalists withholding the moral values of the profession is what will be echoed by the new executives as making it great again is a priority.
And congratulations goes to Andrew Soseka. We move on to iHealth reporting. As we did mention earlier, the National Council for Pharmacists in the country have settled for more emphasis for prescription of drugs to be taken adequately by Cameroonians. The association opines it is in a way to make sure that the country's population being healthier keeps on waxing strong in all facets of life. Alice Lekeliengwe completes that story for us.
Effective July 1, 2024, the President of the Council of the National Order of Physicians of Cameroon has issued a directive aimed at enhancing prescription practices within the medical community. Come July 1 this year, pharmacists will only dispense prescriptions that meet specific criteria outlined by the order. Going by the directives, prescriptions must be issued on letterheads bearing the prescribing doctor's full name, specialty, and complete address, plus the name of the health facility. Furthermore, doctors are required to affix a name stamp accompanied by their registration number with the order. The President of the Council has urged all doctors registered with the order to ensure that their prescriptions adhere to these guidelines. Doctors are encouraged to obtain schedulers that confirms the universally recognized standards of the profession.
We move on to something else this time around with the Southwest region, where the Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tasson, has officially launched a program to enhance for the territorial plan for the Southwest region that will be going in for greater developmental plans for the region. As our reporter has more.
The Southwest region in the next 2 years will be having a new facelift. This was the outcome of a workshop to officially launch the elaboration of the territorial planning and sustainable development plan for the region.
This is in keeping with the law which was voted in 2011 authorizing or permitting government to plan the use of space alongside the long-term vision for the development of Cameroon.
The act that was presided over by the Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, who is quite optimistic with the key stakeholders in the region that will be whipping up sufficient sentiment in the development process,
is to improve our knowledge of the territory. We cannot develop in the air, we have to develop on space. We have to be able to transform space to enhance the quality of human life. But how do we transform space if we don't have best knowledge of what that space has? So a land use plan is a planning instrument which is horizontal because it is based on the potentials of the territory.
The inception report shared by the German consultant KfW, who represented the inception report on how they will be addressing the different deficits.
With respect to how it has to develop the Southwest region. That's why they had to hire consultants who would dip their minds into our own heads and bring out the importance of a plan. And this first stage of this document which we got today was just a restitution of how they intend to do the work, which would last for about 20 months. So the Southwest region, as we have made it clear, we have lots and lots of human resources. We have lots and lots of natural resources. Yet we still face the infrastructural deficit, the human resources deficit. Where is the problem? My conviction is that there is no plan. And that's why I took great interest in coming here to listen to what the government is proposing to us through the consultants.
With this inception report presented to the members of the public, the Southwest region is therefore looking forward towards the implementation phase that will go for the realization for the 11-point.
We talk on the environment this time around. A draft document on environmental conservation and protection has been proposed by the African Voices for Africa's Forest Governments Institution and community leaders. This was during a workshop that held in the seaside town of Limbe in the Southwest region, where the various members all unanimously agree for a reduction in the emission of green gases to the ozone or atmosphere. More with our reporter Alice Blake Lengo Ikome.
In a bid to caution the effect of greenhouse emission, a policy document on environmental conservation and protection was drafted recently by African Voices for Africa's Forests, decentralized government institutions, community leaders, and local civil society organizations in a workshop that took place in Limbe. The Sing Our CO2 campaign took place under the theme, The Congo Basin Preservation Through Sustainable Community Forest Conservation.
The Sing Our Carbon workshop is part of the 3 objectives of our workshop on building capacities of rural women on horticulture and climate leadership across Cameroon. And fortunately for us, this was taken into consideration by the U.S. Embassy in Yaoundé to ensure that our mission and our objective is actually met.
The Sing Our CO2 workshop is part of a 3 objective of a series of workshops with the aim of building capacities of rural women on horticulture, climate leadership across Cameroon.
The Sing Our Carbon workshop actually focuses on bringing together policymakers that are concerned with the management of the Bimbia-Bonanzi-Kombo Community Forest and the management of policies, development of policies that influence these community forests and other forests within Cameroon. And the reason we brought them in is because we want the voices of rural women to be heard on decision-making platforms and tables, and also for women to have a place, rural women to have a place in this management of community forests and also in the protection of these forests.
To the participants, the workshop has opened a gateway for collaboration.
This campaign is very important and necessary because, first of all, women are like the basic in a community. They're the basic component of a community. Women are the people who teach children. They are the people who encompass like everything.
The participants were called upon to invest on renewable energy as a means of curbing deforestation.
Concerning this workshop is very important because we have a lot of problem in our country, the sensitization. Yeah. We have to sensitize the population because there are many things which the state are ready to do for the population to ameliorate their condition, their living condition, but sometimes the people are not aware. That is why we are on the field to sensitize people, population council, city council, to come closer to us to design the project for the solar panel to help people that they should stop to destroy the forest and destroy the environment.
At the end of the day, they all came to an agreement to sensitize the public about the forest.
You are watching High Prime, and we are coming to you live from a news studio in the High Television. We move on to the Southwest region, where the regional developmental outlets, the Southwest Development Authority, SOWEDA, during the 50th Ordinary Board meeting, all settled for all gave a thumbs up to the management of SOWEDA for the execution of the set budget for 2023 and the way the management has been managing the affairs of SOWEDA. The board chair, Ebande Etiage Elbert, says it's time for them to look for external sources of funding in order for SOWEDA to be afloat after a strain of income from the state coffers that has not been quite helpful to that set developmental outlet, as our reporter has more. At the 50th Ordinary Board meeting of the Southwest Development Authority, SOWEDA, for the Board of Directors session presided over by the board chair, was highly solicited by the board members for the remarkable job done by management.
Generally look at the reports presented by management concerning the running of the institution in the year 2023. And after examining the reports, discovered or realized that management executed the budget at a good rate. Resources were mobilized to the tune of about 2,266,000,000, and of those 2,266, 1,840,000,000 were executed, in terms of expenses. So that gives an execution rate of about 81%.
The Southwest Developmental Outlets that has been at the forefront of development in the region for the past years now was extremely grateful for the management towards the management of resources.
The board thinks that the management has done very well. That rate of execution, considering the insecurity that we still find in some areas in the division, we think that the board did very well, and the management did very well, and the board congratulated management, not only for that level of execution, but quality of the documents that are presented, because there's been a good evolution in terms of quality, in the reports that they bring up.
With a strange subvention that usually comes from the state of Cameroon that has witnessed a recent drop for the past years, SOWEDA is now looking for other external means of funding.
The structure has been created, after or during, because we are still under the insecure period, and there's the PPRD, Presidential Plan for Reconstruction of the Northwest and the Southwest. And SOWEDA is an implementing partner to the main implementing structure, which is the UNDP. And till date, we are still expecting, to be told what we are supposed to do and to be given the means to do that. It's true, it's a bit slow, but we're working towards that.
As a remarkable score by the Southwest Development Authority board members, who congratulated management as she remains focused towards her mission statement of transforming the region. We move on to news out of the shores of Cameroon. Beyond the shores of Cameroon, workers in Nigeria belonging to the Nigerian Labour Congress have embarked on an indefinite strike action, a move that is highly appreciated by the workers' union. Is aimed at making sure the federal government increase the minimum wage package in Nigeria. This as the country is witnessing a hyperinflation that worse than the country has ever witnessed ever since she gained independence in 1960 from the British. According to news sources from Nigeria, this move is in a way to make sure the Tinubu-led administration gets her act ready as nothing is happening today in Nigeria. Even some media stations have been locked by the set workers belonging to the Nigerian Labour Congress. Aisha Mbeng is our lady on the story.
An indefinite general strike begins in Nigeria as disgruntled workers pour out their frustration on the impossibility to survive on what the government is proposing as a minimum wage, for it is not enough to buy a bag of rice. So workers below level 14 are sent home in order for the government to feel the impact. The strike has led to power cuts across most parts of the country as workers have shut down the national grid. With the minimum monthly wage currently being at 30,000 naira, worth €18 and $22, which the government is offering to double, workers like security guards complain of needing 50 kilograms of rice, which costs 75,000 naira to feed the family each month before taking other expenses into account. Nigeria's unions under the umbrella of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress are demanding the minimum monthly wage to be raised at 494,000 naira, which they say reflects the current economic realities, as they do not encourage starvation wage.
I'm quite committed to finding a way forward, finding a living wage, finding a survival wage, and not starvation wage for Nigerians.
The government in return refused, saying accepting those demands will cripple the economy and lead to job losses because many businesses will not be able to pay their workers and will therefore have to close down, as the President of Senate explains.
Hence, the National Assembly believes strongly that anything that will bring more yoke, more suffering to the people of Nigeria must be avoided. We also know that it's not just a question of strike in wards. When the hospitals are closed, most poor people will die. Those who are even on oxygen will die. Services will die. Goods and services will not move freely. Productivity will reduce drastically. The living standard of Nigerians will also be impaired. Hence, in the last 4 hours, we have been making appeals, and we are still appealing. Leadership of the NLC and the TUC to quickly return to the negotiating table with government with a view to finding a lasting solution.
It is worth noting that schools, offices and hospitals across the country have been closed because of the strikes. The walkout has caused disruption at the country's busiest airport, Murtala Mohammed International in Lagos, with passengers saying how they have been left stranded outside the domestic terminal. According to one of the workers, a communique was earlier passed across concerning the strike.
We take off because we made enough, we gave enough time for announcement yesterday that no flight will take off this morning, and therefore those ones inside will not be able to go. They will reschedule it. It's a normal thing. We are aware that there will be a situation like this, and that is why we have addressed the public yesterday that there is going to be a strike this morning.
The national power outage started at around 2 a.m. local time, plunging most of the country into darkness. However, the electricity supply is not reliable at the best of times, so many Nigerians who can afford it and most businesses have generators. The Nigerian government has ended the policy of pegging the value of the naira to the US dollar, allowing it to dramatically depreciate, whereas 10,000 naira would have bought $22,000 last May. It will only purchase $6.80 now.
And that was the economy of Nigeria for today, as it was in a total state of shutdown. We move away from the West African nation of Nigeria to the Southern African nation of the Rainbow Nation of Nelson Mandela, South Africa, where the South African Independent Election Commission, the IEC, has yesterday, 2nd of June 2024, declares the official results of the general elections of the country that took place some days ago. In the election result publication, the governing ANC, that's the African National Congress, failed to win the elections. This scenario now caused the ANC to form a coalition government with the leading opposition party, that is the Democratic Alliance, the DA, that is of the white minority rule, and that of the Economic Freedom Fighters Party, the EFF of Julius Malema, who happens to be a fracture who left the ANC party to form his. More with our reporter, once again, Aisha Mbe.
Official results confirmed on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, that no party won a majority in South Africa's election as unprecedented coalition talks begins. 58.6% of voters cast a ballot in the parliamentary poll, which saw the ANC win a little over 40%. According to Professor Patrick Bond, a political analyst from the University of Johannesburg, that leaves the center-left ANC with the dilemma of whether or not to form a coalition with the centrist opposition party, the Democratic Alliance.
A real National Executive Committee crunch point for both ANC and the Democratic Alliance. Will it be to both of their advantage to combine with a solid 62% of the vote? Or would the ANC rather just scrape by at above 50 with a combination of small parties, possibly one of them, the fourth party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, or even reaching out to Jacob Zuma and saying, come back and we'll give you deputy president and your honor will be restored.
The ANC won 159 seats in the 400-seat parliament, down from the 230 it won in the last election. The DA increased slightly to 87 seats. There are 4 major political parties and in total 8 with significant shares of the vote after last week's election. President Cyril Ramaphosa called on Sunday for South Africa's political parties to overcome their differences and find common ground to form the first national coalition government in its young democracy. The ANC leader is further seeking a second term and can count on the firm support of his group.
Know Cyril's leadership, and I think there's a lot more certainty in Cyril's leadership. We understand the way in which the policies have been created, and I think also Cyril will probably be more likely to collaborate with other parties and allow for this inter-party mix.
There is some pressure for coalition talks to progress and for the uncertainty to be minimized, given that the new parliament needs to sit for the first time and elect a president within 14 days of the election results being declared.
We now take you to news in the sports world, where the players of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon carried out their first training session today at the Yaoundé Military Stadium in downtown Yaoundé, precisely in the neighborhood of Ngouaikele. The military training session was one that saw the crowd and fan supporters of the Indomitable Lions cheering them after the melodrama of last night at the Yaoundé Hilton Hotel, as our reporter Asma.
The players of the Cameroon male national football team are in the Yaoundé Hilton Hotel as they have been camping since Sunday's last night. This Monday, the 3rd of June 2024, saw the Lions as they were being transported by their official transport and logistic company, Musango Bus Services Limited, who took them to the Yaoundé Military Stadium in the Ngouaikele neighborhood. The boys of the Belgian tactician Marc Brice took a walk across some measured streets in the town as the fans and supporters hailed the Lions. As the football squad gets her acts ready for the World Cup qualification ticket for 2026 World Cup game against Cape Verde this Saturday, 8 June 2024 at exactly 2 p.m. in the Amato Ahijo Stadium. Expectations are high following the recent melodrama between the country's FA, Fecafoot, and the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education. To football lovers and supporters of the Indomitable Lions in Cameroon, their earnest prayers is for the hatches to be buried so they can once again enjoy the beautiful game of football. And we move on to this communique coming from the Cameroon Football Federation, Fecafoot, where the Secretary General of Fecafoot today evening issued this communique, and it reads as does. The Cameroon Football Federation, Fecafoot, would like to inform the national and international public opinion that a series of events took place on Sunday, June 2, 2024 during the preparation for the start of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon's training camp. During a meeting convened on the 2nd of June 2024 at the Yaoundé Hilton Hotel, the head coach, Mr. Mark Breeze, decided to reshuffle the administrative and technical staff appointed by the Executive Committee of Fecafoot, the only competent authority in this case. Moreover, the hotel chosen by the latter, for the reason unknown to Fecafoot, refused the payment agreed upon several days ago for the accommodation of the facilities. Similarly, Fecafoot has noticed that individuals present on site are taking numbers of initiative at the request of the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education. Even worse, the national team and Fecafoot staff have been subjected to intimidation by the massively mobilized forces of law and order, thereby making it impossible to carry out the usual welcoming operation. Mindful of the situation and to avoid an accomplice to the public disorder and the action that disregards both the recommendation of His Excellency the President of the Republic and the rules and practice in force at FIFA competitions. The Fecafoot Emergency Committee, in its session today at 11 a.m., took note Fecafoot exclusion from the preparation for the games between Cameroon national team and those of the Blue Sharks of Cape Verde and Angola on June 8 and June 11 respectively in the cities of Yaoundé and Luanda in Angola. Done this day Monday, the 3rd of June 2024 in Yaoundé, signed the Secretary General of Fecafoot, Jungang Blaise. And with that communique from Fecafoot, this is where we conclude tonight's news package of High Prime for Monday, the 3rd of June 2024. Thanks for watching and good night from my news studios.